Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. I'm Bill McMinn from Eagleville Bible Church. Along with me is my wife, Jeri. Thanks, Jer. I appreciate you coming in today.
You're welcome.
I gave you water.
That's right.
That's all you need for doing this whole show.
That's all I ever get, bread and water.
A bottle of water, yeah. You'll get maybe some bread later. I gave you water for now just to kind of get you started. The carrot dangling in front of you to do the show. I'll give you a bottle of water.
Wow.
If you come
amazing.
I know, it's Christmas. You know, I'm feeling generous. I'm feeling really in the giving spirit, Jeri. So
I appreciate it.
So a bottle of water that wasn't even mine. I just saw it on the floor in the workroom of church, and I gave it to you.
Thanks, Cousin Eddie.
Oh, Christmas vacation reference. You know, this time of year, I think, can be pretty stressful for people, actually. Christmas time, I wonder about it sometimes because it's the whole point of this Christ is coming. The whole point of Advent, the whole point of thinking about it is, you know, we have this thing called salvation. Our sins are forgiven. We have a home in heaven. We have a relationship with God. We can pray. There's joy. There's peace. There's all these things that God gave. And then we rush ourselves around and we get harried. And we've got to get the decorations out. And the house needs to look a certain way. And relatives are coming over. There are cookies to make, I guess, for those. If people are still making cookies? If you are, bring them my way. But I'm not sure. But it seems busy to me. I mean, it seems like at times where it can be pretty stressful.
It is. And I think that we put things on ourselves that it has to be a certain way, or we have to get this, you know, so many things done, or get so many gifts or whatever. And yeah, we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves that we really don't need to put on ourselves.
Yeah, I hear people get down this time of year. There's a thing called seasonal affective disorder. They say approximately 500,000 people in the United States have it. I would say that's all. that's all the people.
Those are just the ones that it's seasonal. There are others that
those are the ones. Okay. No, it's 500,000 people that have tested positive for season, but a lot of people haven't been tested, so it might be actually more. But they say, 10 to 20% may suffer from a more mild form of the winter blues. 3/4 of the sufferers are women. Why is that?
Maybe because they are the ones that have all the pressure of making the cookies and wrapping the presents. Husband just shows up on Christmas, looks great.
I know. They're as excited to see what the kids got as the kids are because they don't know either. By the way, I was never that kind of dad. I always was involved in the Christmas present buying. All right, it goes on to say usually starts in early adulthood, SAD, seasonal associative. Did I say that right? Seasonal affective disorder. Yep. Can occur in children and adolescents. Older adults are less likely to experience SAD because we just never were. I mean, we don't hear about these things. We just learn, like, as you get from our generation, it's just, hey, cupcake, get moving. I mean, It wasn't.
Although I do know people my age that say they have it. So.
Okay, well there you have it. It's more commonly seen in people who live in cloudy regions.
Hello, Ohio.
Welcome to the Buckeye State. And the further north you are, the worse it gets, and so on and so forth. And it can have sadness, anxiety, irritability, loss of interest in usual activities, withdrawal from social activities, inability to concentrate, extreme fatigue or lack of energy, a leaden sensation in the limbs.
Like heavy.
I guess I will get the lead out.
Leaden. I've never heard of that before.
I know, get the lead out. I've heard that, though. Right, get the lead out. Increased need for sleep.
I always have an increased need for sleep.
You're always depressed then. Craving for carbs and weight gain.
Maybe I have it.
Well, here's the thing. Like, part of it's weight gain, and then they have weight loss is also a symptom of it. So weight gain or weight loss.
So maybe if you gain a lot of weight and then you lose it fast.
No matter what you have, I think that's it. Agitation, restlessness, trouble sleeping, decreased appetite, so on and so forth. Now, some people have this, and I think that part of it actually is light, and this is my encouraging words, when we do this show, we're December 10th. So on the 21st, which is 11 days from now, on December 21st, is the shortest day of daylight, or I could say it is the longest night of the year. The longest night of the year is December 21st. And guess what? On December 22nd, the days get longer. And even if you just get 1 second of daylight that next day, and it might only be 1 second, the day after the winter solstice, you're going to get more light.
Yep, every day. A little bit more light, a little bit more light.
I'm one of those guys, I always look at what can I look at that's going to encourage me. And when it comes around to January, it's getting lighter.
Yeah,
I'm happy about that. So I always think that's a great thing. And I feel sorry for people who are depressed or get sad, and some have lost loved ones, and they think about
it's
that.
tough.
Maybe they're going through some hard times, or, it's just kind of a bigger reminder if you're really struggling. But I have some encouraging words. If you're kind of in that situation, you feel like you're in a rut, feel like you're not wanting to get out there as much. Sometimes you have to push yourself, because once you're out, you do feel better about being out and you're doing things.
It's true.
But I would say don't stress out would be one thing, because you don't have to have everything perfect, and you don't have to do everything that you set out to do. Sometimes you might have an idea, it didn't really work out, and that's okay too.
Mm-hmm. I always feel too, like I have a lot of things planned that I, think, well, I could do this, or I could have this out, or I can make this. But in the end, nobody knows what my plan was. So whatever appears on the table, that's it.
I'll take it.
That's right.
I'll like it. You'll
I've
eat
softened
this.
butter many years for making cookies and put it back in the fridge.
I'm just looking forward to hey, when it comes to Christmas, I'm just glad Ben and Mick will be here.
Yeah.
Because
I'm looking forward to it.
I did get to see them once this year, because they came, well, twice. We got to see them at the wedding and for the 30-year anniversary now for Christmas. So, 3 times in a year, but that's not a lot. I mean, it's my
it's not.
daughter, for crying out loud, and my son-in-law. But I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's going to be great. But you look at the lack of perfection. Joseph and Mary didn't have a perfect experience going to Bethlehem.
Right.
And there's no room in the inn. So how did they know that? Well, they must have checked. Mm-hmm. And they wound up having to be in a stable because there was the only roof over their head. And that's where Mary gave birth to Jesus Christ. And the only place to put Jesus, they didn't really have this nice, beautiful cradle. It was a feeding trough for animals, is where he got placed. Mm-hmm. And so I think about, I wasn't perfect, but it was how God wanted it to be. And sometimes I look at things, okay, well, that plan didn't work out. But it's okay, because, God's got something else in mind. And so you go to the next thing and try something else. And
yeah, God has a reason for the things that happen in our lives. And I think just keeping a positive perspective and not dragging yourself down. I think sometimes if things don't go just the way we think they should go, we can get upset or frustrated or angry. And sometimes in the scope of life, it doesn't even matter. Some of the stuff that we put importance on, it really doesn't matter. Just enjoy whatever hand you're dealt, I guess.
Right.
Life.
And you're going to have some difficulties. I had one of my buddies, he wrote me today and sent me a picture of how his dogs chewed up a bunch of stuff, including a Christmas present. I looked at it. Wow. It's like, we had a dog. I don't have a dog now. And I look at that and I'm like, and that's a reminder of why, as
just say no to dogs. Right?
They will come up with stuff. Well, there's like kids or anything else. I mean, their life will pitch stuff at you that you really didn't see coming that day. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't think this would be happening at the start of this day. And all of a sudden you have a complete mess. You didn't.
Yeah. Like our electric bikes hanging off our house.
Like
didn't plan for that. Yeah.
Like when a tree branch came in the one storm and took it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time the wind blows hard, I'm wondering which tree's coming down now. So, we've lost a lot in the last few years. But you don't know.
No.
So sometimes, oh, wow, okay, I didn't anticipate this one. Or maybe it's a phone call, somebody has a need, or something else happened that you heard about. Or like you said, you dropped something, a big mess was made, you didn't anticipate it. That's life. That's life at Christmas. That's life past Christmas. That's life on July 4th. That's life anytime there's always something going on. And you just got to embrace those curveballs and stay positive and just pick it up, do it. Yeah, it wasn't what you planned, but it's not the end of the world. I guess that's the main thing. It's still not the end of the world.
That's true. And I was thinking a friend had shared a thing that happened with them in a fireplace. And so they, moved into this house that, they bought, and they hadn't used a fireplace yet. So they decided to start a fire. And anyway, long story short,
husband wants a bigger fire.
he wants it rip roaring. Well, there was, what do they call it? Creosote or whatever in the chimney. It caught on fire. And it was like, of course, she's telling me the story almost in tears. And I'm like, dying laughing. I'm like, I know it's not funny at the time, but it's really funny now.
That's when you want.
And then by the end of it, she's like, I feel better.
Well, I think that's when you want them on speakerphone, because then you could like put your head in a pillow and be dying laughing at some hilarious.
Because everything was okay. I mean, if the house burned down, I wouldn't be laughing, but
Well, no,
just
not.
sharing, the horror of what happened and her saying, I really don't think you should do that. I really
Right. And he did it anyway. And then her Christmas decorations all melted on the mantle of the fireplace, and the plaster cracked. And yeah, it was quite a fire. I mean, the guy didn't mess around.
No, he's
you're a guy
serious.
and you say, I want a rip roaring fire. You get yourself a rip roaring fire going. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you have a mess on your hands. And again, sometimes these are the things that happen. We had family come over. It was last year, right at Thanksgiving time. And our septic decides to back up right then. Of course, can I find the opening of the septic tank? I will never go through the scan. I'd have somebody bring a skid steer to dig out the top of it. We destroyed a whole part of our yard just trying to find it. I finally got the thing dug out, and we got it fixed within a couple days. We got company, and
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. It was, but we just dealt with it.
Yeah, we got it fixed.
We got it fixed, and we made it so that'll never happen to us again.
Right.
So, because I'm like, I'm not going through this again. Okay, guessing where the septic tank is roughly. I think maybe I know exactly where that opening is today. So I don't want to get into more details than that, but because that was interesting enough. So you don't really need to hear more about it. But you really do think about life and the way that it is, and it's in a fallen world anyway. Mm-hmm. It's just there are going to be stresses. There are going to be things that happen. I think that should be allowed for. Just like if you were doing a budget, you might allow for some miscellaneous things to happen that you didn't anticipate coming out, because they did. And I think that when it comes to our time and when it comes to the things that we want to do, we have to allow for some unexpected things, maybe some unexpected company, maybe an unexpected chore or something we just didn't see coming along, or maybe you just got caught up in all those things and you didn't get all the lights up you wanted to put around your house, or you didn't get to have it just right, or you didn't get to make the cookies that you wanted to make. All those things are part of it. I would say don't stress yourself out over all that stuff.
Right.
Don't stress yourself out.
Yeah, it's not worth it, because being happy and happy even with those around you. Right. If you let all these things bother you and you're so stressed out, then you're no fun to be around, because you're overwhelmed with everything. And, your company doesn't care about the little things that didn't get done. They're there to see you.
Right. And if a dust bunny bites them in the ankle, so be it. And that's just part of their Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I know that gals and guys both are, picky about how everything looks.
Yeah, you want things nice, but you might plan for a little additional extra things, or even if something like our septic, it just doesn't go the way that you had planned. It's all right. It'll be okay. It's not the end of the world, I guess.
No, there's no sense in swearing and cursing and being all upset about it.
Are you picking at how I responded? No, just kidding.
Well, here's another thing. Kidding. Listen, I think that it's not only could you say don't stress out. It's where your focus is really going to depend a lot on your stress. And if your focus is just you have to get every single thing done that you planned, that maybe God didn't plan for you to get done, but in your head you got it in there that you have to get it done. I think that's not going to be a great thing. We should focus on the great things, especially in the Christmas season. What are your favorite parts of it?
I love when we do pick a Halo family and try to help other people, or food baskets for the vine. I love decorating for Christmas. So that's one of my favorite things. I love lights, colored lights. I love.
Right.
I look at white lights all year long, but I want colored lights everywhere at
We're not
Christmas.
ripping on people.
No, if you love white lights, that's great.
The great majority do like just white lights.
That's because that's pretty much all you can find in the store sometimes is white. But I just love the colored lights. So I love. I like them everywhere.
All. I like the lights. I like giving gifts, like you said. I think Christmas, we are going to give gifts. We're going to that's one of my favorite things to do is find things for you and the kids and a few others. I'm thinking about Christ. I think it's a big. I'm not saying that just to be spiritual. I'm saying this. Hey, it's a podcast for the church. We got to sound spiritual today. In reality, one of the things that I like to ponder is the fact that God sent His Son to this world.
Yep.
That He sacrificed His life for us. I want to think about that. I want to think about those angels in that message of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Why God would say it, the significance of it. I want to think about that star that those wise men saw, how they traveled into Jerusalem, the manger scene, everything about it. I just want to think about this, because I remember there was a day when you would be on the bus and everyone was happy at Christmas, because my mom taught me from the time I was 12 years old and up to know how to go read a bus schedule, walk down the hill of where we lived in Shavertown, PA, read the bus schedule, know where to go, how to get back, and we could go by ourselves. So we would go to downtown Wilkes-Barre throughout the year. And we go, of course, back in those days, they had stores they didn't really have any, SS Cresci and places that became Kmart. But it was still when it was more the five and dime, and they would still be in the center of the main part of the city, and there'd be department stores called the Globe, I believe it was. And we would go to these places all year round. But there was nothing like Christmas. There was nothing that had the feel of it. There was nothing that had the joy of it. There was something truly in the hearts of people that made them seem so much happier at that time of year. I would see more people get up to give their seat away. I would see less crankiness. And I noted it. Now, I'm a boy. I'm 12 years old maybe, and I'm watching around at what I see at Christmas, and I could just tell this is really a different time of year. This is a happier time. As we've gone since I was 12 years old and we've tried to travel through the years, I think we've lost sight of the reason for the season. We've lost sight of the importance of Christ and all the reason for joy that we have. And it's kind of a sad thing to see where you go to the store at Christmas time sometimes, it's like, dang, I mean, people seem kind of uptight a little bit. They seem a little bit like not in the Christmas spirit. For a believer, every Christmas we should be in the Christmas spirit. Every Christmas we should let these things stress us out. We should be focusing on this great story of Christ coming into the world.
Yeah, I mean, the joy that Christ brings in our hearts, you think of like the story of Scrooge and, how he hated Christmas and he pretty much hated everything and everybody. But when he discovered, that the joy of Christmas and the truth of Christmas, just how it transformed his heart. And Jesus Christ wants to transform us. I think he gave up everything for us.
I think when Scrooge saw his buddy and all the chains wrapped around him, that hey, if you live this life, you're gonna be a doomed spirit, and you're never gonna be able to help anyone in the next life if you don't get your act together. This is what's coming. And his redemption, they put him out to reclaim that guy's soul.
Right.
And there was definitely redemption. And I think redemption is certainly part of the Christmas story too. And I think that is one of the most important of all the Christmas stories. It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Carol are two of my favorites because of the giving nature of it, the importance of how you treat people, the importance of being generous. I mean, all these great things, mankind, my business, that was a drop in the bucket of the ocean of humanity. What my business should have been was helping others and forbearance and compassion and mercy. That should have been my business. So that brings us to the next point. If you're going to have a peaceful Christmas and just handle it, don't stress out over all these little details. Get done what you can get done, what you can't. Focus on the great parts of Christmas and do for others, because this is a charitable time of year. And my question is, why is this a more giving time of year than others?
That's a good question.
It's more giving than July 4th. It's more giving than Memorial Day, more giving than Labor Day. Christmas is something super unique where people are more generous. Why?
I think, number one, because God gave us his son, Jesus Christ. Right. And when Jesus Christ was born, on this earth, the shepherds came when he was in the stable. Later, the wise men came, but they brought gifts to the Christ child. Right. And like they brought gifts to the Christ child, we in turn give gifts to others, kind of as a remembrance of that.
To me, this is a great way to take stress off yourself and what your own problems are. Forget about yourself and everything about you. Get outside of your own bubble. What about other people? Now, tonight, we're going to go support a local business, Bridge Street Pizza. I don't mind saying it. I love those guys. Chris and Winona owners come to the church. And, it's been slow because of COVID and people are afraid of going out. I feel in my heart, I need to go support these guys. Right. Like, I need to do this. It gets to the point, it's not about what I want to do. It's not about, well, wouldn't it be more comfortable to stay home? I'm not interested in what would be more comfortable to me. I'm interested in what can I do to help others. Right. When it comes to giving, you think of Halo families that our church adopts. We think of the Vine Food Pantry, and Steve told me today, good news actually. He thinks that they're getting enough donations that they're going to be able to handle giving, because this year they're not doing the baskets because they're just wanting to lessen the contact with and stuff. So they're giving out gift cards. So bigger families get a $100 gift card, smaller families get a $50 and then $25. And so they have a whole plethora. They're literally, the church is just giving out money to these families so they can go buy food at Christmas time. He said that he thinks that they are almost there. The church is so generous that they're almost there ready to cover.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome. And then we have Halo families. I think of just paying attention to others, maybe being more generous when you tip the waiter or waitress. just being, smiling, just being happy. I mean, I think all those just doing for others is so important.
It is important. And it's rewarding even for yourself because, number one, you feel good when you help other people.
Right.
It really is good. And God loves it when we help others and we're not just thinking about ourselves constantly. Because you can do for yourself all the time and buy yourself this or buy yourself that. There's no satisfaction in it. It's just like, it's another thing you need or whatever. But when you go out and you help someone that doesn't have things, really needs help, you feel like you're being the hands and feet of Jesus Christ to the world around you.
Right.
And God loves that.
Right. Absolutely. And so we should be. So as you're handling Christmas, and I know it can be a stressful time of year. I know people get the seasonal affective disorder. Sad.
Yeah.
Listen, I hate to tell sad people to be happy because I'm not saying that's always the right thing, the exact answer, but find reasons for joy. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Don't stress out. Focus on the great parts of Christmas, all the things that you love. Get out of your bubble. Do for others. I think you're going to have a great Christmas. Mm-hmm. So we hope this is a great season for you. Again, spend time reflecting on Jesus Christ. Spend time reflecting on the reason why is this Christmas. It's called Christmas.
Yep.
Christmas. Okay. Whole reason it's called Christmas is because of Jesus. So yeah, why is that? Why do we call it Christmas? What is this star that we see everywhere? What are these things, these nativity? Think about all these things, as you drive down the road and contemplate it, allow it to sink deeply within your heart. Hope you have a great and a blessed week.